Hi, everyone. Welcome, 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 welcome. This is Latoya Riggins, your favorite host of all things craft, you guys. I am in here in the craft studios, just getting my tea ready because guess what, you guys? We have a great episode for you today. We are continuing our important conversation about men in ECE. That's early childhood education, you guys. Let me salute for my craft family. All right, let me tell you guys and just introduce what we're doing here today. I want to make sure that everybody can get on in. People are signing in right now. We're at the top of the hour. I'm going to check on Facebook just to make sure that everything is good and copacetic and we are live. Let's see. All right, yep, we're up there, guys. So tap in. Let's go. I'm putting it in the comments. If you have any questions or comments while you're watching from home, definitely pop it into the chat. Okay. So we're going to be talking about what we always want to talk about is disrupting the industry, making sure that we are putting it out there because the Craft Cafe, that's what it's all about. It's a great platform to bring early child education to the mainstream, you guys, because we are, I would say, the workforce's best kept secret. And it shouldn't be a secret, you guys. Everybody knows about it, but nobody's talking about it. Now, one thing that I'm always asking myself or asking other people, especially professionals, is where are all the men? And it's not just in ECE, but ECE is definitely an issue. So we're going to be talking about this, you guys. So if you guys are signing in from Facebook, I have it up. So if you have any questions, feel free to chime on in, okay? If you are coming in from Zoom, get your link, come on in, and let's get you on the platform. I want to give just a quick shout out to Better Futures who created Craft. They are Dr. Robert Gunlin. Actually, Dr. Robert Gunlin is here in the building supporting. So Dr. Gunlin, if you could come on and say hi, I wanted to give a shout out to you and Jahi, Dr. Robert Gunlin, and his 51 years of experience in ECE and his dedication to early child education. And then this is perfect for you, Dr. Gunlin, because you are a man in childcare and you've been in the childcare game, I'll say the game in the industry for so long, almost over half a century. So you definitely know what you're talking about. And your partner, Jackie B. Davis, MBA, has 25 years of experience in business, finance, lending, the whole nine. And you guys coming together to bring better futures to the ECE industry, you guys. Not only that, you guys, with years of helping and supporting and really disrupting the industry and the creating even more leaders and boosting the leadership. They created Craft by Better Futures, which is our online business and professional development platform, specifically designed with you in mind, the leaders of early child education businesses, because we believe that you don't have to be sick to get better. And if you can't get to places, that's going to stop you. We want to make sure that we can bring you access virtually to everything that you would get in person. Okay, and this is before there was ever a pandemic, so don't blame it on the pandemic. Dr. Gullen, did you want to say a few words while you're here? Thanks for coming.
Just want to say good afternoon and great to see Cameron and Jamal. Thank you both for your support. We appreciate it and look forward to an interesting hour.
All right, well, thank you for being here and supporting, and thank you for serving. I always say that because, you know, in the military, they give you the thank you for serving, but serving children and families is, you know, right there up there with protecting the nation. So, you know, you guys definitely get the salute. So without further ado, you guys, I want to introduce our panelists, our guests, our features, the DC Man and ECE group. We have Jamal Berry. Hi, Jamal. I want you to come on. Camille, I don't know why I said Camille. She just texted me. I think you know Camille. Cameron Rollins over here representing the group. Now, it's a whole team of you guys, but you guys are going to be coming in representing today. I want to talk with you guys a little bit more. I know we were able to introduce you guys, but I want to let you guys introduce yourself for anybody that's watching that didn't see the last episode. So, Cameron, we'll start with you because you're right at the top. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Sounds good. It's a pleasure being here with you all. My name is Cameron Rollins. I have the pleasure of serving as the Chief Operating Officer for Southeast Children's Fund. and also the president of the Black Child Development Institute of Washington, D.C. So I'm happy to be here.
Ah, happy to have you here. All right, Jamal, let's get you in here.
All right. Hello, everyone. Once again, Jamal Berry. I'm President and CEO of Educare Washington, D.C., Treasurer of the D.C. Head Start Association, a co-convener of the D.C. Men in ECE, and just an advocate for children overall.
I love it. I love it. So I'm glad you guys are back. I want to just recap from the last episode. It really was just really like an introduction to really tell people that you guys exist, because I know I was looking high and low, just really looking for, more men in ECE that I could talk to and interview and things like that. And that's when I came across you guys, because I already knew you, Cameron, but I didn't, and I think I met one other guy when we were at the NACE conference and we were talking about it. And that's when I found out that you guys had this whole thing going on. So I couldn't believe that whole time I was looking for y'all, you were right here literally in my backyard. So I was like, look at that. So just a quick background, you guys. My background is in workforce development, and in DC, that's like a huge community. It's really tight knit. It's like I call it the usual suspects. You'll see pretty much the same people, kind of, fighting for the workforce development piece. And in that, I started to delve into all of these different groups, and that's when I heard of the Commission on Fathers, Men, and Boys, and I was like, this was right up my alley, because in workforce development where I worked, it was mostly women that would come in to the program. And I would have employees always ask me, where are all the men? And I'd be like, your guess is as good as mine. Like, I'm here, So I would purposely look for guys, because I actually would have, I would say, an easier time placing them than I would the women. Like, I would be able to place men like this. So I would go out and search for them. So when I found that commission, I was able to get introduced to different leaders that were really pushing things forward for men. So I'm so excited to have you guys on here to tell your story. I want you guys to dig a little deeper and talk about like the programming that you guys have going on with your mentor programs, and just how do you even find the guys? Like, how do you find the men? Let's start there, because that was my barrier, just finding them, just looking for them. So I don't know which one of you wants to start. Like, just let's start there. Like, where do you even find them?
Yeah, I could probably start. Well, we're scarce, so when you say how do we find them, I don't know if we found all of them yet. We probably found about 90%. But I think the CEO of the Council for Professional Recognition wrote an article a while ago where he talks about critical mass, and when you start to involve men in programs, you see more men in programs, right? It's a little bit like representation. So I know even at Educare, we have 2 male teachers, we have male family engagement specialists, we have men in like health services. So we have, a lot of men throughout, an advocacy manager throughout our program. And so I think, when men see themselves, they oftentimes come in. I also think we, for DC Men and EC, as focused as we are on working with male Black educators, we also acknowledge that there's a lot of men, just like fathers, that play a role in early childhood education that are not necessary educators. So Cameron will say the difference between us is that we're in similar roles and leadership in organizations. And my path was education. I was a teacher. His path was more business, but he's just as valuable to the field as I am. And so we oftentimes think of that inclusivity, and we're really then focused on making sure that we just train on what quality early childhood education looks like, so that the people that might have come from an operations background or IT background see the joy in early childhood, although they might have come from a different pathway.
Yeah, I love that. Like you said, like the different roles. And that's what got me thinking. I do a lot of research on this and just trying to figure out, first of all, what's the root of the issue. And that's going to take us to the solutions pretty much. So what I was reading is, they say that less than 2% of the work population for ECE is male. And when I heard Maurice say that back in the days when he was doing it, that it was more than there is now, I was truly shocked at that, because I thought it would have been flipped. I would have thought that it would have been more now and less then, because, you know, back in the days, they had those traditional, I guess, gender roles and things like that. And I know that when I talk to older guys, like, I know I'm from New York, so like, let's say like a baby shower. In New York, like, our baby showers are like real life parties, so men come to it. But when I moved to DC, which is more southern, in my opinion, it's southern, the guys would be like, "Oh, men don't go to baby showers. That's for women." And I'm like, "What? Baby showers are cool. They're fun. We had a DJ." And they're like, "Well, it's just pregnant women." And it's like, no, the only person pregnant usually is the mother. But what I'm seeing is, even just with the dynamic of society these days, the look of what a baby shower is supposed to say, or anything surrounding children or babies or families, they're not so women focused anymore. And I think that as a whole for society is really kind of waking people up. I think even down to like the household responsibilities, and you see more stay-at-home dads and things like that. I think that was kind of taboo back in the days, and like, you got to stay at home dad. Now you see way more of it. You know, I know that when President Obama was in office, it was like this whole girl dad thing. Like, it was like a big movement. And then it was like you said, it created a space for men to be more proud of their roles in the family, with children, with even, you know, with the family businesses like family childcare and things like that, even being a part of that role. So I know that there was a shift. What do you guys think about that? Like, when did that shift kind of happen in society where men were kind of seen in a different light?
Can I start, Cam? And I'm gonna pass it to you, because as you were talking, two things came to mind for me that I think we've lost in the Black community. One was the talented temp, right? And so when you thought about the talented temp, right, it was like the top 10% will pull everybody else up. So you had your teachers, and teachers were in the talented temp, right? You had teachers, you had lawyers, you had doctors, and they felt like they lifted everybody else up. It's now so much of a us against them. The other thing that happened from some of my even most recent reading was Brown versus education was really the demise of Black male teachers, because before, teachers, Black teachers, males especially, took pride in teaching and raising the children in the community. And so teachers were throughout the education system. When they started to integrate systems, and of course, Black teachers could not then go into majority white schools or into these even mixed income neighborhood schools. So then it started to decline at that point, right? And I think that's really where we get into like just pedagogy of poverty, where it was like poor teachers for poor children. In the beginning, it was, you had the top ranked teachers that wanted to be in education, and we changed that, you know, unfortunately, with a rule to try to create equality, when really what we still needed and we know we need now is equity, right? So we created a rule for equality, and you know, we should get the same thing as them, but that's not what we ever needed. And so a little bit of a soapbox, but I think that was the start of it.
Well, I don't mind the soapbox, because we have to get it out there. We got to identify, you know, when these shifts happen and what happened when it shifts, you know, because the shift doesn't always mean a good thing. Sometimes it just kind of shines light on something and it goes kind of crazy. But one thing that I see, like you said, with the roles in schools and things like that, a lot of times it is a mirror of what's happening at home. You know, like you said, you mentioned in the Black community, like the role of men, period, especially the father role. And as the roles started to, I don't even want to say change, I'll say as the family started to break down, and you start seeing more single parent households, or should I say mother-led households, I think that, I mean, personally, I definitely think that that kind of had an effect on education as well, and what that looked like, and having a space for men inside the classroom. Because I know that, and Dr. Gunner, you can speak to this too. We did a class on how fathers are treated in the centers, like inside the centers. And I think it was probably like maybe 2 guys on the line out of like 175 people. So the women were really like starting to bring down their walls about and see themselves about how they didn't even realize how they were affecting men. Like, I'll just give a quick example. Like, let's say a dad comes to pick up the child inside the center, and even down to getting the child ready to go home, like putting on the coat or getting their stuff together. Sometimes the teachers will take over. You know what I mean? Like I would say the women teachers will take over, I guess, kind of undermining the dad. Like, I'll take care of this. You don't know what you're doing, type of deal. You know what I mean? So it kind of keeps the dads kind of on a, like, all right, like hands off. I don't even know if I'm supposed to go back there, type of thing. So it's like, we talked about how do we open that up, that space in the classroom for even the dads. Jahid just walked in. Jahid, blessing the cafe. Let's see, we're just talking about men and ECE. So Jahid, you want to come in and introduce yourself? Dr. Gullen is already here, so we're well into it. But I'm gonna finish what I was saying. But we talked about that in the class, and really was a really eye-opening moment for a lot of the women in the room, because they didn't think anything of it. They didn't think that they were doing anything, I don't want to say wrong, but like they were undermining the dads, or making them feel like there's not a space there for them. And I think these types of conversations really help people see themselves. And it's not to bang nobody in the head. It's really to just open up the conversation and the communication, so you are aware of how you affect people. So, hey, Jahid, thanks for coming. You want to introduce yourself? Say hi.
Hey everyone, my name is Denzel Washington, aka Jahi Davis, co-founder of Better Futures, male, DC-based, fan of these gentlemen that are here today, and really, excited to learn more about this topic, because I think it's definitely a place for men in the space and the industry. So yeah, I'm looking to learn a little bit more and hear other folks' thoughts, talk to many women over the 20 plus years that I've been involved in the industry. And I think you're right, Latoya. There are some folks that are radically supportive of men, but there are also some that are radically uninformed. And then there are some that are in the middle. They're afraid of policy change, or they're afraid of regulatory changes or perception. They're afraid of perception. So there's a wide swath of folks that this conversation is going to touch. So I'm definitely excited to hear others' thoughts.
Well, thanks, Jahid, because I mean, this is definitely something that I'm interested in, because, like I said, when I did workforce development, it was like scarcity, and then the guys they were just talking about, finding the men. And I think, like you said, representation definitely matters. And when you get to see yourself, it opens up that door for other people to see themselves. Well, wow, I would be able to do that, But if you don't feel like there's a place for you, you probably won't even knock on the door, So visibility is definitely there. Cameron, to you. Now, what do you think as far as, because, you were able to tell your story on the last episode about how you got into ECE. How do you talk to, other men or young men about the industry? Like, what is your take, like your spiel, I should say, on how to, invite them in, I should say?
No, it's a great question. And to be honest, I think it's been spoken to in some ways in each from everyone. It's letting men know that this is a space for them as well, right? And I think that happens automatically for even speaking about the industry, right? Like that I'm in it, and that like I might not be in the classroom, but I'm still able to impact children on a day-to-day. I think that's significant as well, because I know when a lot of oftentimes when individuals hear about think about early child education, they think of it from one specific, I think, career path, or one specific position. And I think it is a wide, you can do a little bit of everything. And I think the beauty of education in general is that we can bring whatever our individual experiences are to the classroom, right, or to the organization. And I think it helps to create a dynamic educational experience and even better outcomes. But even during this conversation, I was like thinking, and I was reminded, like, from my experience specifically, my first interaction with a early childhood education teacher was when I was in from first to third. A male early child education teacher was when I was in first to third grade, right? I had the same Black male educator all of those years, and he stayed with our specific class because he had he had a connection with us and he wanted to stay with us. I think that was even several years in him teaching, but he felt connected to our class. And I think for me, like even thinking about how I found the field, I can't, I'd be remiss not to point to like me having that experience so early on significantly impacted like my view on like education, even early child education. So
I love that. My cousin, she had her kids in a I don't want to say non-traditional school, but it was like a African school. And the setting was each classroom had a male and a female leader, the teacher. And it was ran like a family. So they had the mama and the baba. And I had never seen anything like it. But the children in the program, I mean, this is from like pre-K all the way up to I think this elementary school, the school they have. It's in Maryland. And the types of things that they would do with the kids was more family oriented. The way they had meals, they would do like performances at the end of the year, and the way these kids would perform, the things that they would learn, the types of performances that they would put on, you could tell that they were empowering them. They were seeing themselves. They were pushing them up. They were challenging them in different ways, and they had discussions about things versus things being so punitive and things like that. And I was like, wow, like I love this concept. So I'm wondering, like, how can we get to a place where we can have that balance and everybody can contribute? Now, when it comes to you guys' events, what are some things that you guys can tell me about the events that you throw? Like, how is it kind of engaging folks to kind of integrate more with the equity piece that you were talking about, Jamal?
Yeah, so we have one big event, which is our conference, and so we had our first conference last year. So you can't say annual until you do it again. So now it's an annual conference. We're scheduled for October 26th, and that's a citywide conference. One way of being inclusive. We had over 200 people register and about 100 and some people that actually attended, and people thought it was only for men. It is not just for men. It's just sponsored by the men in ECE. We'll be some of the presenters of it. And so that's one way of inclusivity. Once again, we want to acknowledge our role as a missing piece of the puzzle for high quality childhood education, not that we're the all be all or we're trying to take over. We want to bring more men into the space because the research shows that children outcomes are affected by men of color in the space. And so for that reason and that reason only, to help to change the narrative for young Black kids in DC, we want more men there. So that's our big event. But what we do monthly and bi-monthly sometimes is that we have a meeting where we have collegial dialogue. And so we just talk. Just last month, we talked about masculinity in early childhood. There was a book that I'm forgetting the name right now that a couple of the members read, and we had dialogue around it. We've talked a lot about play and how male teachers play different than female teachers and how we can teach each other a lot about play, which reminded me of Cameron's story. My first male teacher was my sixth grade teacher, and he played basketball with us, right? And now he was short, I was tall. We used to give him body and back him down. But, it was that like competitiveness and seeing, somebody that looked like you in that space who could be your math teacher, but also could be physical with you. And I think that did encourage me to be a teacher later on in life. So those are some of the events that we have. And then mentoring. So we've been mentoring a couple of young men from that work for Literacy Lab and their Leading Men program, where they go into the public school and they do reading interventions with pre-K 4-year-olds. And so we're mentoring them and now trying to take it to the next step where we recruit some middle schoolers that they mentor, so that you see almost this quote unquote pyramid scheme, right? Of like, we're investing in them and then they're investing in the next group. And what would that do for the middle schooler? Maybe they invest in their younger sibling or somebody in the community. And so we're trying to see where that takes off.
Love that. I definitely love that. Ah! And while you were talking, so many things were just going through my head. I was like, oh, that sounds amazing. Let me ask you this, because you talked about masculinity in childcare, and that's another thing, because this episode is definitely about like debunking myths and things like that. And one thing that I, when I talk to other male leaders in the industry, they talk about how, I'm gonna go into it when it comes to I don't know all the right letters, but with more feminine males are a lot of times a lot more accepted into the classrooms. I don't know if because they identify more with women, but what is the split with the more feminine males and then the more masculine males, and just how they're treated in the classroom? Because I know I have seen more, of the, I would say, feminine men that will be in there, and they will kind of fit more in with the women, so they kind of get into the club almost. But then with the masculine men, it's more of a like a hold on, they more, I guess,
Yeah.
apprehensive.
Latoya, I think that's a great topic. I won't go too deep into it because I'm not going to
Well,
speak for
we
everybody.
talking about it, and it's
Oh no, we're gonna talk.
give me
Yeah, I'm
now.
gonna give you the real. Because I would disagree with that. Well, what I would disagree with is I think from a female staff point of view, you may be correct, right? Because that is somebody that they might identify with and have relationships with and can talk with from a um from a parent standpoint. Not at all. That there's no acceptance there, and if anything, there's a harder line crossed. I've had to have so many conversations, whether it was a transgender staff person or somebody who identified as gay, that telling families like, look, we've hired them, and regardless of your personal beliefs, this person is an employee of our organization and they're protected. But there's a lot of pushback and a lack of acceptance, especially when you have a male that's being called miss or mama, and there's these gender roles that are confused there that we work on and coach. And so it is a lot, and it's a sensitive, I think, situation because you have same sex parents, right? And so
Yeah.
who are we to say what's right or wrong? And somebody's sexual orientation can't work there. I think that's not our space, but I think our space is back to the kids, right? If we're doing things in the benefits of kids, then somebody's sexual orientation should not matter. But that, when you asked your first question, is the stigmatism and is why men do not join, because you have heterosexual men who do not want to be seen in that manner. And then you have, I've had men who might identify as gay where, somebody made it look like they were going to touch their child. And oftentimes men in the field say there's 97% women. There's more likely a chance that a woman does something to a child than a man, just by the sheer numbers, right? And it shouldn't happen. And it's ridiculous that somebody thinks because men actually are good at working with young children and or enjoy working with young children that there's some type of something wrong with them, or that they're doing it for another reason. So that is the issue with early childhood and why men do not get in and why men leave the field so early, or they go to a higher grade where they don't have to worry about that, right? At that level, they worry about other stuff, but in a K-12 or in a high school, that's not their issue.
Right.
Yeah, if I can add, sorry, I think I might be breaking up. Am I breaking up at all?
No, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. All right, because my internet connection is acting a little funny. But I think, to Jamal's point, I think what we see is that the field is just a microcosm of like larger society, right? So what I think individuals like maybe like their personal like past experiences, but really like society in a lot of ways, we're having to like. And that's why I appreciate like this group so much, is like because we're having to retell the stories and the narratives of what men across the spectrum are able to do and bring to the table, and the benefit that then has on not only the children at the centers, right, but the community as a whole, right? Like, because it's important that children are able to see like the full spectrum of an individual, right, and understand and be connected and learn like the brilliance that that everyone comes to the classroom with. And I think it's even I think it's helpful for staff members to learn it as well. But I've seen similarly the type of reactions that Jamal pointed out. But I do think I don't know. I think it's a very nuanced conversation, but I think diversity in all forms is extremely important, and it in general, but specifically, I think in early childhood education, it allows for a different and deeper level of high quality environment.
Absolutely.
Latoya.
Yes.
Okay, so there are three thoughts that come to my mind. Number one, as you know, the book I'm writing, the elephant always in the room is funding. Part of the reason men don't get involved is that men historically, and think to some degree today, are the main or perceived as the main, are and perceived as the one who is the main provider for the family. So we got to get compensation to a level where men are able to be comfortable and confident that they can pursue this career and do it in a way that is comfortable for them. Secondly, what I'd say is we need leadership, and having had the good fortune to work with both Cameron and Jamal, what excites, we now have young men of color that are assuming leadership positions and significant leadership positions and getting recognition, not only at the local level, but at a state and national level. That exposure, I think, is critically important, the evidence. And then third, as a member of the Men in Early Childhood, I think it's important because of the work primarily that Jahi leads for us, and Better Futures, part of what we're about. This program is funded by a private funder. So as Jahi says, if you don't have money, if you're not in it to make money, a nonprofit or any organization's got to make money in order to be sustainable. This group has that and has had it, I believe, pretty much since its inception. So Jamal, Cameron, if you're comfortable to just talk a little bit about the funding, how the funding has been used, because it's what attracts me and retains me in the group. Yeah, a little bit about the marketing that you did and how you've been able, what the money has allowed you to do in order to continually strengthen this organization.
Gotcha. See, just high level. Yeah, I can go high level. So high level, we had a funder that believed in us and one, listened to us, which I think funders should do. And so we had an opening reception where it was a great time. We had probably about 50 men there, and it was a good opportunity to just fellowship and get to know. And you're like, I didn't even know you were in the field, or I didn't know you worked there. That was that. But then that birthed something big, because that started the collegial dialogue. We really then said, what are your issues? What's keeping you in the field? And from there, we partnered with an organization, New Target. I sing their praises from the rooftop, just because they're an amazing communication organization. And Educare had actually worked with them on our 10th year anniversary. And I saw the work that they did, the intentionality behind thinking about groups and thinking about theory of change. Since we had some of that aligned, we didn't need it. But when it came to DC Men and ECE, and you're thinking about a startup, they really pushed us to start to think about what are we actually doing and who are we communicating with. So out of there came our theory of change, where we recognized that we wanted to recruit, retain, and advance 100 men of color. And we had to have hard conversations. Is this about race? And it's not about race. It's what Robert Gullen said, right? Having these young Black male leaders. There's a lot of things that are already happening for Caucasian people in DC and in America. And then the children in DC that are Caucasian are successful. They're passing their third grade reading, by 80%. Maurice Sykes would tell you, he'll sing that from the rooftop. But it's the Black children that are failing. They are failing in DC. They're the ones that are being incarcerated. And so, yes, once again, an equity lens says that we have to put more resources to those that need it most, not equality across the board, but we need to think about equity. And so DC Men in ECE is really a movement of equity for children of color to really make change.
Yes, so the group had the funding to hire a professional communication organization. It wasn't where we got together and did that. And if I'm correct, you had funding for someone to handle the coordination of the conference and the conference space itself. So it wasn't held in some moderate to less than acceptable. It was held in a respectable place.
Yep. I think, to be honest, to your point, Dr. Gunling, right? I think, and to Jamal's point, I think that when we talk about building a movement, I think we can't overstate like the importance of funding, right? Especially when we talk about time, efficiency, and capacity. I think that the work with New Target, with the support of the Bain Family Foundation, for us to be able to get new work with New Target, for us to be able to have a conference, for us to be able to host convenings, all of those things I think has been crucially and critically important for us to be able to bring men together in fellowship, right? Like when I was at the initial fellowship, for me, that was amazing because it was the first time that we've done it, right? Since I've been in the field, and it was exciting. It got people motivated. I think it's crucial and critical, especially looking at what the next phase looks like. When looking at expanding the mentorship program to include even younger students, like all of that is crucially and critically important. Because one of the things that we know is like, though we might have a limited amount of individuals to be able to even tap into as it relates to men in ECE and DC specifically. But what we know is we have the ability to impact those that are about to graduate from high school, are about to go to high school, right? And let them know that this is a field that is of interest. This is a field where you can come and get a high quality education, but also get a high wage. I think that's all really important in introducing this space to other young men.
I love that. I like how you guys tied it all into the leadership. And Dr. Gunn, you said something important when you started. You talked about, men being seen as being a provider and ECE not being seen as a place where they can have a career that will allow them to provide. So that kind of brings it on back to the leadership in general, being a field that people feel that they can take care of their family on, or they can be quote unquote successful and be a provider. So that's another space also, just working with leaders. We were just talking about that, at the last craft cafe of, how do you retain your staff and how do you create opportunities for them to actually stay and benefits for them. So I definitely, I didn't even think about that aspect, Dr. Gunn, enough, having men want to be in this field. As far as the compensation package is looking, like you said, you're going to need to probably take care of your family. You're going to need benefits, health, those kind of things. And if, they don't see this industry as a place where they can get that, they probably are going to turn somewhere else. So yeah, when you think of the leadership, how do we, bring that to the table and really make it a big deal? Because it is, because it's not like women don't take care of families, but like you said, and like Jamal, you talked about it, perception, So I love that you guys are putting that on Front Street, especially for the guys that you actually mentor, and then showing them that, you can earn a living, you can be a leader in not just in your field, but in your community, make change, and overall support your family, you know? I mean, and Jahi, you could attest to this, because I know one thing, I always call you the money man, because we were talking about revenue and all that. And people will say that it's not about the money. And then Dr. Gunn will come in and, well, we need the money to do the things that we need to do. So it all goes back into business and growing that business. So with that being said, that's pretty much roundabout, you know, what we do at Craft Our Better Futures. The whole leadership piece, it speaks to so many different avenues to life improvement and family improvement, community improvement and engagement that is no way to miss, you know? And that's why we have so many topic areas, you guys, because there's so many ways that we can kind of pull this in. But I'm a close the lens back in on what we're talking about. But I'm just really excited to hear from guys. And this is the first time we had excluded me, but I mean, this is the first time I've had an all male panel on Craft Cafe. So let's give you a round of applause for that. The only time I've ever had a full male panel. So shout out to you guys. You already are showing up and showing out. Now, what I want to know is, what's the, you know, with the movement and everything, what's your dream for it? Where do you want it to go?
Yeah, that's a great question, especially because I'm a visionary, so I could see it being larger. I mean, there's actually a lot of other organizations that are doing similar work. I think for us, where we stand out is the ECE part. So there's the Bond Academy, which is in Maryland, that does some work with Black educators. There's some work that's happening in Philadelphia. I believe in building the field from the bottom up, and I think that's what we're doing. So I see us actually meeting our goal of 100, right? When you do a stretch goal or a broad goal or whatever type of goal you want to call it, it's supposed to be right outside your reach. It is probably not possible for us to get 100 Black men in EC because they're not there. So we're doing the right things to recruit in high school and push down to middle school, but the truth is they're not there. That 3% number, and that's 3% of male educators. When we're talking about Black educators, it's more like that number you were saying of 1.8 or 2. So to really think that we're going to get 100 new is a little bit of a stretch, which then pushes you to innovation, right? So when you start to stretch your mind, you start to think innovatively about things. What else can we do? Maybe we can get funding to get scholarships for men of color. We actually, out of the leading men, have 3 that are going to UDC, if I'm not mistaken. So because of their experience, because of the mentorship, they're now going to early childhood. That's how we get to the 100. You know, the way you eat an elephant is one bite at a time. So we have lofty goals, but we're going to take it piece by piece.
Oh, I love that. So 100 men, I definitely think we can make it. I think it's making, like, telling you guys a story like you guys are, and really showing the highlights, the wins, because make it anything you want people to be a part of, you want to show them what's good about it and why they will want to be a part of it. So I think the more men like you guys that speak out, that show what it is that you guys are doing, and then show the fun that you guys have too, because everybody wants to do something fun. Everybody want to make a difference, but you still want something that's enjoyable too. See the good sides of it and the rewards and those kind of things. And also that's why I talk about this, to women, having a space. If you don't know there's a space for you, it's like goes right over your head. So I think right now is a great time to have a call to action, because like you said, I always talk about ECE as a calling. Most people don't just wake up and say, I want to do this work. They usually call and that phone is ringing, and it's up to them to answer it. And I'm gonna be honest with you, so many people have that gift and they have not answered the call, because it's not an easy job. It's definitely not, you gotta really, give yourself to it. So everybody's not ready for that. But sometimes you gotta keep calling, and let them know, hey, we need you here. Here's the benefits. Here's the things that we can use your talents for, and how you could be valuable to this industry. I think when people hear how they could be a value, they look at it in a totally different way, So I mean, I think this is a great time for what you guys are doing. I don't know if y'all gonna paint a whole block, like Black Lives Matter, they did the whole block. But I can't wait to see even more. And I'm excited to even have you guys on the show to bring that to the forefront for all the viewers that's watching. And if there's anything that I could be a part of, y'all already know I'm coming out. So invite me. I will be wearing my craft shirt. And I'll be there with bells on because I'm really excited about this. And I see what you guys are doing. And the more of you guys that come together, the more power it's going to have. And the more it's going to attract, I say more guys, because then there's literally a seat at the table, So
Yeah.
I say keep doing what you're doing. Now, for the people who want to support, do you guys have volunteer opportunities? Can they donate? How do they get it to you guys?
Well, we never turn down a donation, but our website is being launched soon. Info at dcmeninic.com. We have a newsletter that we're publishing that is coming out soon. The test one has gone out, and so we'll make sure we get that to you, Latoya, and you can send that to your viewers, and there'll be more information there.
All right. Now you said it was info at DC what?
It should be info at dcmeninic.com. And I can give you my Cash App if you'd like to make a donation. I can post that in the chat for you.
Yeah, I'm posting that in the comments now. And the Cash App is what?
I'm messing with you, Latoya. I'm messing with you. That's my
Hey,
personal
look,
Cash
people
App.
be
We don't
Cash
have
Apping.
one. Look, you about to have my Cash App blowing up. I don't want to be accountable for nobody's funds. But no. We
Well, when y'all get the
seriously,
group Cash App, let me
yeah,
know. I'll put it out
right.
there.
Yes. And if somebody really is interested in donating to the cause, we can make that happen. We're operating under DC Early Learning Collaborative, so we could tie them in there so that they could donate. Because we always need funds. Like Robert said, funding makes the world go round, and we are not, as the co-conveners, nothing is going to us, but the funding helps you, like Cameron said, have the capacity to do the work. So bringing in professionals that are specific to a certain trade that can support you is beneficial to the field. What we know how to do is teach and work with young children, but we are not, expert communicators or all these other things. And so having the capacity to bring that in definitely was changing, and it helped us get off the ground faster than we would have if we had to count on ourselves. So that's really what the key is, right? Like, I do this work for my organization. I can't do it for Educare and do it at DC Mini ECE and do it at DC Art Association. So we needed some support, and that funding helped us to get there.
Love it.
I would say what people can do is, if they find a young man or a middle school, high school student in Washington, D.C., to encourage them to seek out DC Men in ECE and support them to explore the opportunity. Throughout my 51 years, I've had the moments of talking to a young man who wanted to get in, but no one ever opened the door or provided encouragement. So help us get to the goal of 100 men. Doesn't cost anything. Just bring them in.
How far do I have to go?
Well, and I'm thrilled to hear and knew that once the website's launched, there's now the way that these young people can communicate directly with the organization, get the support, and we're on our way.
Straight to the top. So how far do we have to go to hit this 100?
We need about 50 more.
Okay, so we're already halfway there. I think so. By when though? Like, what's the deadline? Or is there a deadline? It's just that's the goal.
Now you're trying to get into a strategic plan. We're not there yet. We just, we're trying to get to this 100. No. We I don't think we have a timeline on it, but that's just our goal, is to really reach, like I said, to recruit, retain. So between recruiting, retaining, and then advancing, which we highlight in our newsletter, brothers that's been promoted, and not just advancement from a career standpoint, but advancement and really thinking about knowledge. So our conference is going to be around knowledge acquisition and leadership and equity in early childhood. So really just thinking about once again, like teaching people how to really teach and work with young children, which is our goal, because that's what's going to close these achievement gaps. Not, the money is, but we need good, high quality teaching practices, high quality early childhood education facilities. We need community impact. We need all of those things. And so, like I said, I won't keep rambling, but you'll see more about us. We'll post flyers. You'll hear about DC Men and ECE on the news one day.
Well, make sure you send it to me so I can blast it out. Now, the conference date, you said that it's going to be, did you say October?
October 26th. Should be a
October
Saturday.
26th.
I lied. October 7th. No.
Wait, one more time. It broke up.
You got it in your phone? I think it's the 26th.
Oh, Cameron wrote the chat. Well, when y'all get it, whatever y'all blasting out, send it to me because I would love to blast it out there and put it out there. And I'm coming already, so I got to figure out which craft shirt I'm gonna wear. And I'm just wearing. No, I'm not gonna wear a craft shirt.
Yes, I had it right. It's the 26th.
I'll leave it on the show.
Yeah, it's October 26th.
26, you guys. All right. And you said that's a Saturday?
Yep.
Yes, ma'am. And it'll be at Gallaudet at the Kellogg Center.
Oh, okay. I haven't been to Gallaudet in forever. All right. So we're gonna be in the building for that, you guys. Now we're coming down to the wire, you guys. We are at Friday and we are here. We're almost at the end. I know that all of you guys gotta go, but we're gonna go ahead and wind down. I'm so excited to have you guys continue this conversation because I didn't want to have it be a one-timer and we just, it flies off the wind. I want this to be continued so that we can continue to talk about it, continue to bring up the topic, and continue to add some other experiences in it. I want to even dig deeper. I want to hear some stories, all of that, you guys. So, Dr. Gunlin has 1,000,001 stories. So I know you got it, Dr. Gunlin. And I know that you guys got some stories that I haven't heard. I still haven't heard half of Dr. Gunlin's stories, you guys. He tells another one. I'm like, damn, I didn't hear that one. But I'm sure he has them for the record books. But we want to hear more about you guys. Getting to know you guys has been fun. And I'm sure everybody at home that's watching has felt the same way. And the more that we get to know you guys, it will bring us into the heart of your organization and just let more people know about who they're going to be dealing with and who is on their side, who's going to be having those experience lined up for them, because that is a big deal. Just having somebody that you could talk to and confide in, and somebody that you genuinely respect. So you guys have been putting it on the map, putting in work in the industry, and I'm sure that the people that you guys work with are just overjoyed to have y'all around. Because I mean, just hanging with y'all these times, I already know. And like I said, I've hung with Cameron. He's infectious. So I know that you guys are the same way. So when I come over there, we're gonna have some fun. So I love what you guys are doing. So proud of you guys. And Dr. Gunlin, I'm so glad that you brought them into the loop and to the table, and that you are part of the organization, because we need more men like you guys that are out in the communities representing and bringing more people into the fold. All right. So now, do you guys have anything that you want to say before we go ahead and land this plane today?
Yeah, I'll just say, to be honest, one, it's always great to be on craft. And I don't know, I was reminded about when I first came to the field, and basically I wanted to share that I think everyone can come with their unique talents, even if they're not in the field currently. I think there's so many great benefits. And one of the things that I think like transcend any other workplace that I've been at is that Dr. Gunley used to tell me all the time, it's like, if there were moments in business or dealing with like just the normal ebbs and flows of one's professional life, he said, just go in there with the children. And there wasn't one occasion when I went into a classroom, I interacted with the children or the teachers, and that it didn't just completely transform into where I was at and just put things in perspective, because it is life-changing work. And not every profession is able to say that, but like it truly is. And I think it makes that every day that much more meaningful, but also it puts things in perspective, not only what you're doing, but who you're doing it for.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Yeah, those children, man, they take you somewhere else. I love them. Jamal, anything from you before we skirt on out.
No, I'm simple. Just thank you again, Latoya, for your diligence and for making sure we had the space to talk about this. Dr. Gunn, thank you for being an informal mentor. Like he said, he does not just talk the talk, but he walks the walk. He's pulled me up many conferences and invested in me without asking for anything ever. And so thank you for that. And also, just thank you to those that are listening, for giving us a chance and listening to our story and our narrative, because we definitely believe in what we do, and we're here to change the world.
Yes, I love that. We love that. Dr. Gillen always says we're disruptors, and I definitely love it. That's why I love crazy, because what's the saying? They said, the people who change the world are the ones crazy enough to believe they can. So let's come on with the crazy train. It's true, and it's needed. So I'm just really excited to be a part of it, especially, at this stage in it, while you guys are, even still promoting it, building it. So I feel proud to even know you guys. So I can't wait until the episodes, the different events and things like that, and just seeing you guys do what you do, and anything that I can do to help. Y'all already know, just hit me on the hip. Do they still say that? No? Okay, well, call me on my phone, text me. All right, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and land this plane. I just want to thank everybody that came out today and everybody that's watching at home. Remember, check in the comments. I already put in the email so you guys can get in contact with the guys, the DC men in ECE. And I will see you at the next session, you guys. See you later. Oh, just so you know, you guys, I just had a little last thing. Now, for the viewers watching at home, you already know we always have promotions going on. So right now we are launching our summer sizzling sale at Craft by Better Futures, where we are giving out a $500 credit. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, everybody. I just want to say this last little thing while y'all go ahead to your weekend. Have a good weekend, and be responsible, you guys, but have fun and enjoy the weather. It looks great out here. But we have a summer sizzling sale for you guys for professional development. So go ahead and book your trainings now for your staff. We are giving you a $500 credit on any training or webinar training or training package, you guys. Now you have 6 months to actually it has to be scheduled within the 6 months, but you have to get it now if you want to get that credit. All right. So go ahead to our website at www.betterfuturesdc.com. All right. And I will see you back. Now, remember, this is the summer series, you guys. So we're going to be doing conferences. We got the National Association for Family Childcare. Shout out to Family Childcare right here. That conference is going to be going down in July from, I believe, the 23rd to the 28th. So I will be in St. Louis. The whole crew will be in St. Louis. We have classes going on. We have the pre-conference. Shout out to Leaders Shaping Leaders. And also, I'm going to have my booth. I'm going to be going live at my vendor booth. So anybody that wants to be featured on my live show, definitely come by and book your slot. And I will see you there, and we'll see you back. See you later. Bye, y'all. Have a good weekend.